Welcome to your yoga mat. This is Alisa, and today we're going to start on our backs. So, whatever way you'd like to get there, and if you want to prop yourself with maybe a bolster under your knees or a block or anything under your neck, just so you can feel comfortable. So, either rolling to one side or you can round back. So, just lowering comfortably onto your back, finding a place of ease, and you might want to have your knees bent here to have your feet flat on the ground. And again, if not, you could place something underneath your knees, a little bit of cushioning just to facilitate some ease in the lower back. So finding your place here, your way down onto your mat, connecting your body to the ground. And you can soften or close your eyes if that feels good. And as we just start to turn our awareness inward, you might notice your breath. And as you notice it, we're going to do a few intentional breaths here. So we're going to inhale through the nose and then a big exhale. So an audible sigh. So inhaling and then exhaling through the mouth. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhaling and then exhaling. Each time you do that, we'll do that 1 more time, letting go a little bit more. So inhaling and then exhaling. Letting go of any tension you might have in your body, just allowing your body to melt into the ground, connecting your body to the earth. And now you can just allow your breath to come back to your own natural rhythm. So as you breathe in, noticing where your breath wants to go. As you breathe out, feeling a sense of ease as you really let go, letting go of expectations and judgments, letting go of limiting thoughts or judgments, anything that might be holding you back. Letting go of comparisons. So allowing yourself to just be here, being okay with whatever is, not needing to change anything, not wishing anything were different, just being and allowing. Honoring the body that you have today. And then just feeling the weight of your body on the earth, noticing any places that might be tired or achy, maybe a little stiff. And you can direct your breath to any of those places that might need a little bit more attention or love, a little bit of your healing energy. And then taking a moment or two to set your intention for your practice today. So whether it is to create a sense of ease or relaxation, maybe just some time for yourself, maybe some balance. And you can state that intention to yourself in the present tense as if it already exists. So you might say, I am relaxed and at ease. Or I move with ease. I am strong and supple. So then when you're ready, you can either keep your eyes closed or you can open them. And we're going to start adding in just a little bit of movement. We're going to start with a big stretch. So nice big stretch, just like a good morning stretch, stretching our arms overhead if that feels okay to our shoulders. If not, if you're caring for your shoulders, you can keep your arms down alongside your body and then extending the legs along. So we're just thinking about creating space here. And then As we exhale, we can bring the arms back down alongside the body. We'll bend those knees again, and you can keep your feet flat on the ground, or you can bring your knees into your chest, giving yourself a little bit of a hug here, maybe rocking side to side. So as we move through the practice, always asking yourself what it is your body needs in the moment, and then choosing that. So knowing that there are all different kinds of options and modifications for poses, and it's never about doing a set thing or necessarily exactly what I'm doing. It's always about choosing what your body needs in the moment. And just because you can do something, so if I'm offering choices and I'm doing one of them, just because you can do something doesn't mean you have to do something or that you should do something. So it's really what would feel better in your body in the moment. So now we're going to set our feet down on the ground if they're not already there. And we're just going to, again, start pairing movement with breath. So as we move, making sure that our breath is the most important part of our practice. And if we wanted to stay here just as we are right now through the entire practice, we could totally do that and just focus on our breath. But if you want to move with me, there's that invitation as well. So on an in-breath, we'll just, first start to feel our bodies on the mat. And then on the out-breath, on the exhale, bringing the right knee in towards the chest, noticing what your low back feels like, maybe flexing that foot, sending some energy out the bottom of the foot. And you can hold on either at the shin or underneath the thigh or on top of the thigh. So that might feel better to your knee. So on the next in-breath, we'll set that right foot down. And then exhaling, we'll bring the left leg in. Again, flexing that foot, spreading the toes wide, and just noticing how this side might feel any different than the first side. And we're going to start to alternate with our breath. So on an inhale, we'll lower, exhaling, the opposite knee comes in. And you can move at your own perfect pace here, whatever pace matches your breath. So exhaling, knee comes in, inhaling, the foot goes down. And we can keep the opposite leg bent, or we can extend that leg, but only if that feels okay to your lower back. If that creates any discomfort in your lower back, then keeping the knees bent. Just switching from one side to the other as slowly or as quickly as matches your breath. And then even as we're moving with the breath, you might decide that this feels really good and maybe you want to stay there an extra breath or two, and that's okay. We're starting to wake up the legs, releasing the lower back. And you might notice how it feels different in both legs as you do this combination. So as we extend one leg or bend it, it might feel different on that side versus the leg that's drawing in. It's all about just noticing. So just like you're witnessing your body moving, witnessing, being the observer. Again, not judging or expecting any particular thing as you move through this. And then the next time we bring the right knee in, we'll stay there. So bring that right knee in and then pointing and flexing the foot, waking up the ankle a little bit. We can keep that bottom leg bent or extended. You might want to bend it here as we stay on this side a little bit longer. So we can point and flex, and then we'll start to circle. We'll do several times in each direction. So we'll go in this direction a few more times. And then we'll pause and we'll reverse that. And your ankles might be a little musical. Maybe they're cricking and cracking, and that's okay. And then we'll pause and we'll set that foot down and we'll switch to the other side. So again, starting with that point and flex, maybe feeling this in the calf, the ankle, the bottom of the foot. And then we'll start to do our circles. And our circles might not be perfect, and that's okay. Maybe they're some other odd shape. And then we'll switch, going the other way. Just a few more times. And then we'll set that foot on the ground and just noticing what we've already done. So you can stay here, or if you'd like, we can move to what's called bridge flow. So just a few things for setting up our bridge flow. Feet are about hip distance apart. And as we move, we want to make sure our neck feels comfortable. So if you feel any discomfort in your neck, you can come back to this position. And we'll place our arms next to our body. If you've got a yoga mat, you could actually hold onto the edges of the yoga mat. And as we start to press our heels into the mat, we'll lift our hips, creating a straight line from knees, hips, all the way down to the shoulders. And then on the exhale, we'll lower down. So inhaling, we'll start by pushing our feet into the mat, pushing the heels into the mat, lifting the hips, creating a lot of space here. So again, it's all about space. So this space gets really tight from sitting or walking. And now as we move through this flow, we're helping to open that up, open our hip flexors. So it's the top of the thigh, below belly, and then exhale down. So just like before, moving with your breath, moving at your own perfect rhythm. Inhaling to lift, pushing the arms down, the feet down. Exhaling, we lower the spine down. And if at any point you get a little tired, you can always pause and rest. You could bring knees to chest if that feels good. But if you're flowing here with me, you might add in your arms, or you can just leave them next to the body. So always remembering that with all the options, there's no right or wrong. It's always about what would feel good in your body. And it's not about what your body looks like compared to anybody else's. It's not about what your body looks like in the poses. It's about making the poses fit your body. So after this one, we'll do just one more. And then lowering the hips down to the ground. We'll let the spine neutralize, come into a neutral position. We'll bring the knees into the chest, give ourselves a big hug. Again, maybe choosing to move only if that feels okay to the spine. If you have any type of disc issues, then staying still. And then we'll set our feet down on the yoga mat. We're going to roll over to one side using our hands to help make our way up into tabletop position. So placing hands directly underneath the shoulders, knees are under hips. If you'd like, you can always make fist for wrist if you have any wrist discomfort. And we're going to start with a little bit of a combination. So here we are in tabletop. Feet are about hip distance apart, knees are about hip distance apart. And as we exhale, we're just going to shift our hips back as if we were going into child's pose. We're not going to stay here too long. We're just going to shift back. And then as we inhale, we'll move forward, coming back into that table. Exhaling, we'll shift back. Inhaling, we'll come forward. So as we move here, moving with the breath still, so like we've been. And then as we shift forward and back, bringing awareness to your navel, your belly button, and letting that movement almost come from the belly button. So we're engaging our core, keeping our core nice and strong. And then rather than just going through the motion here, really feeling that engagement to help us shift forward and back. So rather than letting the belly button or the belly just hang and droop, we're moving intentionally with awareness. We'll do maybe two more just like this. And then coming back into tabletop, we're going to start to move through cat and cow. So again, pressing down through all 10 fingertips. We'll inhale forward. Hips are lifting, belly's dropping, heart is forward. And then as we exhale, we'll counter that. So we'll exhale, dropping the hips, rounding through the spine, one vertebra at a time. Chin comes towards the chest. Inhaling, lifting the tailbone, dropping the belly. Shoulder blades come in towards the spine. Exhaling, the shoulder blades draw away, and we're pushing that floor away from us with our strong upper body. Continuing to move at your own perfect rhythm, matching your breath to your movements, massaging out the spine. waking up your spine and the entire length of your back. So after this next round, we'll come back to tabletop. So we'll inhale, cow, exhaling cat. And then coming into our neutral spine. So we want to wake up our spine a little bit more. We're going to add in some lateral movement. We'll inhale here. And then as we exhale, looking over the right shoulder to the right foot. It's almost like you're looking at your tail, your happy dog checking out its tail, chasing its tail. Inhaling forward, exhaling to look at the other side. So getting into that side body. One side of your body gets long, one side of the torso gets long, the other side gets a contraction, almost like a little side crunch there. And you can either stay just like this, or if you'd like on this next one, as we exhale, you could cross the opposite leg over, setting those toes on the ground. Almost like you've got a longer tail now. And again, that may or may not be for you. So as we stay here, you can go back to cat and cow. You can stay here with this motion of extending the leg when you look at your tail. You can even change up your arms and your legs a little bit. So maybe you'd add in a hand, or you can keep your hands as they are. You can go into some circles if that would feel good to your hips. Woo. I'm going to add in a few circles, but again, choosing what feels good to you. We just start to wake up the body, get the body moving. And then after this next one or two, we're all going to meet in child's pose. So we'll bring big toes together. Knees can be as wide as you'd like as we sink the belly down between the thighs, letting the forehead rest. And if it doesn't make it all the way there, that's okay. We could stack our fists or maybe take a yoga block underneath the forehead, letting the forehead rest. And if your wrists are a little tired after what we just did, you could even bring your hands back towards your feet, letting the arms, the wrists relax. So finding a place where you feel most at ease as we come into rest. And as always, perhaps this position isn't the pose for you. So if not, you could return to that tabletop or any other place that feels better to your body right now. But if you're here with me in child's pose, you might choose to rock your forehead side to side, massaging the middle of the brow, a place of our third eye or our intuition, our inner knowing, our inner wisdom. And then if they're not already there, we'll extend our arms forward. And then taking both hands, walking them towards the right edge of the mat, we'll crawl that left hand, the left fingertips away from the heels, getting into that left shoulder, the left ribs. And then we'll inhale, we'll walk our hands over to the other side. Now right fingertips are crawling away from the heels. Breathing into the side ribs. And then we'll inhale, coming back to center. Finding that length, we'll crawl those fingertips towards the top edge of our mat. And you might choose to stay here in child's pose, or if you'd like, we can lift into downward facing dog. Now, if your legs are wide like mine, we'll bring our knees in so they're in line with our hips. And then again, fingertips crawling forward. We'll tuck the toes under, lifting our hips, maybe walking out our dog, walking our dog, lifting one heel and then the other. We're starting to wake up the bottoms of the feet, the back of the legs. So if your legs are particularly tight, you might choose to keep both knees bent. And we do that because our goal here, the priority here, is lengthen the spine, not necessarily getting the heels all the way down to the ground. It's all about that length and that space again. So we want to create space between the vertebrae, counteract gravity. You might choose to just keep rocking from side to side, or actually pivoting the feet, walking your dog, or you can let the heels come towards the ground. Again, they don't need to make it there. You can keep your knees bent as much as you'd like. And we'll press the palm, especially the place between the index and the thumb, into the ground. So we're really strengthening the upper body. We're pushing that floor away from us, drawing that navel in. We'll inhale, looking towards the hands. Exhaling, we're going to take a walk. Feet to hands, coming into forward fold at the top of our yoga mats. When you get here, you might come into a ragdoll, just letting the fingertips trace the ground. Again, knees have at least a little bit of a bend here. You might have a bigger bend, that's okay. We don't want to lock the knees out. And then maybe holding on to the elbows with opposite hands, letting the back of the neck be long. We'll inhale, and then exhaling. If you are holding on to the elbows, we'll release them, letting the fingertips come towards the ground, or maybe yoga blocks. And then deepening the bend in our knees as our bellies come onto our legs. We're going to inhale, take a reverse swan dive. Exhaling, hands come to the heart. So we've made our way to standing. We're in mountain pose. We'll check to make sure our feet are about hip bone distance apart, rolling those shoulders back and down. Fingertips are facing the front of the room. And then we're going to take another big in-breath. So circle sweeping the arms up, coming into extended mountain pose. Looking up if that's okay to the neck. If not, we can look forward. Knees are still soft, and then we'll exhale, hinging at the hips, arms are wide, spine is long, and then we'll come into forward fold. We're gonna do that combination a few times. So pressing down into the feet, we're gonna inhale, lifting, exhaling, swan dive. Spine is long, and we're gonna engage that core. So just like we did when we were moving forward and back, we wanna think about keeping our core engaged, belly button drawing in, and that's going to protect the low back. We'll bend the knees in both directions. That's also going to protect the low back. It's going to protect the back, the hamstrings. So we want to move with intention and awareness rather than just springing up and lowering down. Can you notice all the different parts of your body that you're using as we're rising with intention, and then exhaling, lowering as if we're going through molasses, and feeling the four corners of the feet press into the earth as we root to rise tall. And the earth is helping us here. So as we press down, the earth helps give us a little bit of a lift here. So we're gonna come back into our mountain pose, inhaling. Exhaling, hands come to the heart, and we're going to add on a little bit. So we're going to layer on, and you can always adjust this as you'd like. Inhaling, we'll sweep up. Exhaling, coming into forward fold. As we next inhale, we're going to come up halfway, monkey pose. Hands can be on shins, they could be on our blocks. The goal here is, again, just like downward facing dog, lengthen the spine. So we're going to keep our gaze down on the floor, and then we're going to exhale. Belly comes to the legs. Inhaling, we'll come into that reverse swan dive. And this time, as we exhale, we're going to come into chair pose. Letting the weight of our body come more towards our heels, so our toes can lift, maybe giving them a little wiggle. Belly's drawing in, and then we'll inhale up. Exhaling, the arms come down towards the side of the body. So we're going to move through that combination. Inhaling, sweeping up, exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, lifting, lengthening, almost as if your spine is like a bungee cord. Knees are soft. Exhaling now, knees are really bent. Inhaling, we'll rise up. Exhaling into chair pose, into those strong legs, those strong glutes. Inhaling, we'll rise. This time as we exhale, we're coming back into that swan dive. Inhaling, lengthening the spine, lengthening the back of the legs. Exhaling, releasing. Inhaling to rise up. Exhaling, finding that chair pose. Inhaling, and then exhaling. So as we move on here, you can move at your own perfect rhythm. You might even choose to change this up a little bit. So you could add or subtract to this combination. So you might want to add on a little bit of a twist, twisting to one side. Inhaling forward and then exhaling to twist to the other side. And then inhaling, going back into your forward fold. So we're going to stay here for, I don't know, a few rounds. So you can, again, move in whatever way feels good to your body. The key here, again, is still letting the breath lead whatever you're choosing. So if you find you're holding your breath, or maybe the breath is getting a little stilted, then perhaps being a little more gentle with yourself. Allowing yourself a moment to rest. So if for some reason, again, you're not feeling this combination, maybe you're feeling a little more tired today, you could always choose to go back to where we started. So just like I said, maybe going onto your back and just focusing on your breathing, or you could rest in child's pose. So we'll do one more round after the one that we're on now, not rushing to finish up. Then when we're finished, we'll all meet in mountain pose. Bringing hands together at the heart, letting our gaze come out over the tips of the fingers. Relaxing the throat and the jaw. Creating some ease in the shoulders. We keep hands here at heart center, or if we'd like, we can bring them down next to the body. Letting our shoulders release. And then just noticing what's happening in your body. So we've been moving and flowing for a little bit of time now. So you might be feeling some warmth. Maybe you'll notice the sensation of your breath or your heart beating. And bringing hands together at the heart, we're going to take a step back with the right foot. So coming into warrior one, the left knee is over the ankle, the right foot is at an angle, so maybe towards the front corner of your yoga mat. And we're going to turn the shoulders, so they're towards the short edge of the mat, towards the front edge of the mat. Now, sometimes we'll hear a cue about bringing the hips too, but this hip is trying to open up a little bit. And what we're trying to do is allow that. So we want to make sure that we first have the distance. So almost as if our feet are still hip distance apart or on railroad tracks. So when we did that step back, we didn't bring that foot in line with the front one. Still got a little bit of that space for the hips. And it's more about turning the shoulders, because we want this hip to be open and we want this back foot to be on the ground. So if this foot is lifted, you might bring the foot forward a little bit more so that you can allow the heel to press on the yoga mat. And then bringing hands either to prayer position, heart center, or if you'd like, lifting the arms, either to traditional warrior arms or to cactus arms. Relaxing our gaze and feeling as fierce and as proud as a warrior here. Pressing down into the big toe of the front foot, pressing into the outer edge of the rear foot. And then inhaling the arms up, we're going to add in a little bit of movement. So inhaling here, and then as we exhale, we'll straighten that front knee, keeping a little bit of a bend, and arms sweep back. Inhaling, and then exhaling. Moving slowly with the breath. And if this doesn't feel okay, you could always stay still, honoring what your body needs. And again, if there's any discomfort in your shoulders, you might come here, opening hands in and out. So our arms are optional. You can adjust this to fit your body, fit how you're feeling. Do just one more. And then coming into our warrior one. We're going to open up now into warrior two. So we're going to step that rear foot back. Hips are now more in alignment. The front knee is still over the ankle. We'll bring arms to shoulder height. And now we're turning the shoulders and the hips towards the long edge of our yoga mat. So with warrior one, we were towards the front or shorter edge. Now we're towards the longer edge. If it feels okay to your neck, you can turn your gaze out over the front fingertips. We'll peek down, making sure that this knee isn't flopping in. If it is, we can give it a little bit of help. We want that knee to track towards the pinky toe side of the foot. That's really going to strengthen that thigh. And turning that front palm up, we're going to inhale and then lift into reverse warrior. The back hand can be on your thigh, or bringing it towards the lower back. Now, if it doesn't feel good to look up, you can look down, maybe towards that back foot. We're really creating a lot of strength here. And then on our next in-breath, we're going to come back to warrior two and then straighten that front leg. From here, adding in triangle pose. So on the next in-breath, reaching out, 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 and then letting that hand come towards the shin, maybe to a yoga block, if that feels better. And then right hand can be on the sacrum, the low back, or we can lift that arm up to the sky. And only looking up if that feels okay to your neck. So noticing how that feels. Look down. And our big goal here again is a strong, straight spine. So not working to get our hand all the way to the ground. In fact, we have very little weight on this hand. You might even be able to reach it out, noticing that you're using the core to maintain stability here. You can rotate that top wrist if you'd like. And then we're going to inhale, coming back up, cartwheeling the arms, coming into a runner's lunge, and we'll step that front leg back to meet the other one. Maybe staying here in downward facing dog, or you could be in child's pose. And in fact, we'll all meet in child's pose. So first finding that down dog if you'd like, lowering the knees and coming into any variation of your child's pose. Inhaling and then exhaling. So noticing what your body's saying, listening to your body, listening to your breath. So breathing, feeling, listening to your body. And we have the other side to do. So we're going to tuck our toes under, lift into another downward facing dog. Walking feet to hands. And then circle sweeping, reverse swan dive. Hands come to the heart. Now, if you'd like, you can stay where you are, but I'm going to flip to the other side of my mat just so I can face you. So we're in that mountain pose. Hands are at heart center. Relaxing the shoulders, and we're going to step back with the left foot this time. So finding that warrior one. So again, I stepped back with that same distance for the legs. Left foot is pressing into the mat, especially that outer edge. Turning the shoulders, finding a little bit of strength here in Warrior One. So option to add in that movement, inhaling and then exhaling. So you might choose the same type of movement for the arms that you did on the other side, or maybe you'll choose something different. So there's no need to do exactly the same thing. It just depends on how this side of your body's feeling and making adjustments to fit that. Moving with the breath. So then we'll come into our Warrior One. And then on our next in-breath, we're going to step out, stepping that left foot back. So now the feet are closer into alignment with each other. The right knee is over the ankle. Again, you want to really like take stock of this front thigh. So if it's flopping in, giving it a little bit of help, spiraling that thigh towards the pinky toe edge of the foot, bringing arms to shoulder level if that's okay. If not, they can be at prayer position. Because when we're in this combination that we're doing for Warrior, what we're really doing is we're creating a lot of strength in the legs, but then when we add in the arms, we're adding in a bit of strength for them as well. So now getting ready to come into our reverse warrior. We're going to turn that front palm up, inhaling like we're being pulled forward, and then lifting. Turning your gaze to whichever direction feels better for your neck. Maybe sitting down into that front thigh if you notice you were lifting up a little bit. And to come out of this, we'll bring our arms back into our traditional warrior arms, getting ready for a triangle pose. Inhaling, putting a micro bend in the knee now. Exhaling to stay. And then on the next in-breath, reaching out long. Hand can come to the shin, it can come to the thigh, wherever you'd like. So again, the goal here is to imagine that the spine is so straight, the body is so straight. It's like we're a piece of toast inside a toaster. So I'm going to show you what we're trying to avoid. So rather than just reaching and coming forward, and now my body's not very straight. So maybe just for today, coming up a micro inch higher. Because again, our goal here is space. We're creating space for the ribs, space for the spine, lengthening our inner thighs. So it's not just about reaching the floor. There's no bonus points for reaching the floor. And we can circle that top wrist if you'd like. And then getting ready to come out of this pose, we're going to bend the front knee, coming back through Warrior Two, cartwheeling the arms, coming first into a runner's lunge, and then we'll step that front foot back, heading right into child's pose, or you can hang out in downward facing dog for a moment or two, adding in any last bit of movement or stillness that you'd like in this down dog. Then we'll all meet in child's pose, letting the hands come to rest by the feet, releasing the shoulders, checking in with your body. And then we'll extend those arms forward. We're gonna lift into another downward facing dog. Walking hands back to meet the feet this time. Coming into our forward fold. We'll soften our knees. Inhaling, reverse swan dive. So we're getting ready to add in a little bit of balance. And so for today, we're going to play with tree pose. So for tree, you might want to have a block nearby. You might want to be near a wall or a couch or something that you can hold on to. And we're going to start first, again, with mountain pose. So we use mountain as a foundation for a lot of things, but especially when we come into balance. Thinking about both hips being level and square to each other. And your first choice for your tree pose is actually just to step that left foot out to the side. So You can come up on the toes. We've got a nice wide base to hold us here in our tree pose. And then if you want to start to maybe challenge yourself, you could slowly bring that heel in a little bit closer and maybe coming into a low tree. Or if you'd like, you could bring your foot to the block or to the calf or to the thigh. Wherever you go, being aware still that we have those hip bones square and level. So rather than one's up here and one's down there and you're a little out of alignment, which is not good for the hips or the spine. And you could have your branches out here. You could grow them up to the sky. Or you could have them at the heart. So playing around with what kind of tree you want to be on this side. And if you're here with your foot on your calf or your thigh, being really careful to not have it pressing into the knee. And then we want to press foot into leg, leg into foot. So they're really creating some dynamic tension, pressing into each other. And that's why we don't want to press into the knee. We want to keep our knees safe and healthy. We're lifting up through the pelvic floor, creating what we call root lock or Mula Bandha. Just breathing. It's okay if you fall over. If you fall over, just getting back up again. And then we'll come out of our tree whenever you're ready. Give ourselves a little counter movement. Maybe some hip circles. You can shake the legs out. And then we'll make our tree on the other side. So you might choose to be a totally different tree on this side. So we'll start first from our mountain, keeping the knees soft. Then any variation as far as bringing your heel and your toes in. So you might want to be here, lifting up, and we're still drawing inner thighs together. We're lifting in and up. You could come to the block, to the calf or the thigh. So depending upon how slippery your tights are, you might choose to come to the thigh. So I usually find it easier to do that when I'm wearing shorts. So it's really up to you. And if you fall out of it, again, just dust yourself off, come back to your tree. So it's okay if we fall over in yoga class, because sometimes we fall over in life. But then it's, what do you do when you fall over? Do you get back up? You dust yourself off. So finding your tree on this side. So my tree on this side has some birds flying through it. When we add in movement, or you could challenge yourself with closing your eyes, but only do that if you're super secure or you have something you can hold on to, because otherwise that might be a little much. So then when you're ready, we'll set that right foot down, finding our stability again. And same thing, you might want to shake the legs out, add those circles, whatever your body needs after holding that balance. Because when we hold a balance, if we're on one leg, that standing leg, that supporting leg, it's really creating a lot of strength. So you might feel that into what we call your glute medius, the side of your glutes. So we want to counter that out or give it a little bit of relief. Now, as we move on, we are going to be doing a little bit with a strap. So if you have a strap nearby, great. If not, don't worry about it. So we're going to inhale, coming up, exhaling, finding that swan dive. We're going to come to hands and knees. And if you have a strap nearby, again, setting it to the side. Excuse me. We're going to come onto our backs. So however you want to get there, remembering your options from when we started. So I'm going to roll down with a little bit of strength, going down one vertebra at a time, and then bringing knees into the chest. So now that we're back on our backs, giving yourself a little bit of a hug. So now we're going to set our feet back on the ground and taking our strap if you have one, if we have one. If you don't, you could use a long sleeve t-shirt, a towel, a dog leash. Another thing you can use is just use your hands. So it's really up to you, whatever you'd like. If you're using something like a strap, we'll take it around the instep of the foot. We're going to keep this knee soft. And first just finding a stretch for the hamstring, the back of the upper leg. So the foot is flexed almost as if the heel is going up towards the ceiling, and we're just going to draw that leg in gently toward the body. If you don't have a strap, you could just hold on behind the thigh or the calf. And we're being very mindful of how this feels right now. So if you're pulling it in and it's already an ouch, easing off a bit, because if we try and force this stretch, we're actually going to cause more damage than good. So we want to be really kind to our hamstrings, breathing into any sensation. We can actually even think about pushing that leg away for a few seconds. So maybe 3, 4, 5, and then drawing it in. So again, just noticing what's happening on this side of the body as we breathe into the back of the leg. And now we're going to make sure that we have our strap or whatever we're using in the left hand. So same hand and leg. And we're just going to open that leg out to the side just a little bit so we can get a stretch for the inner thigh. The foot is still flexed. And we want to be mindful that both hips are on the floor. So if this hip is starting to lift and we're turning, then bringing that hip back to the floor and the leg a little bit higher to the sky. So you can even place your hand on that hip if you'd like. Just breathing into this inner thigh. You might be noticing something into the other leg as well. And then slowly we'll come back up to the sky. We're going to switch hands with our strap or our shirt, and then angling the toes towards the opposite shoulder and just going a few degrees across. We're not trying to go all the way across either. We're not turning this into a twist. And you might notice this into the side of the calf or maybe into the IT band or up towards the hip. You're going to get this wherever you really need it the most. So just noticing how it feels on this side. And it could feel completely different by the time we get to the other side. And it might even feel different day to day. So maybe some days when we do this, you might notice it in the upper thigh, and then, you know, other days it's the lower part of the calf or the lower leg. So I'll breathe into that. And then we'll come back to center. We're going to set our strap off to the side for a moment, and we're going to come into a figure 4 pose. So taking that ankle across the thigh, the opposite foot, the right foot, can stay on the ground if you'd like, or you can lift it. We want to make sure this top foot is flexed, and that's going to help engage the muscles of your thigh, of your quad, to protect the knee. So we want to protect the knee. And we're breathing into that left hip and the glutes, getting a release for the low back. And again, if at any point this is too much, if you lift the bottom foot and it's, you know, feeling too much sensation, then just set that down. So depending upon how tight you are, that's really going to limit it. And if you feel tight in the shoulders, like you feel like you're straining, then I definitely recommend you put that bottom foot down. So we're breathing in and breathing out. And we'll just set that right foot down. If it was up, we'll uncross the knees or the feet, and we'll just notice. So notice how the two sides might feel a little different. And then we'll try the second side. So drawing that right leg in and either holding on with your hands or your strap. And again, we're first focusing on the back of the leg, the hamstring. Heel is up towards the sky, toes are towards your nose, and you can keep this knee as bent as you'd like. We always want to honor what's happening. So if you feel an ouch, then finding a gentler version. It should never feel like an ouch. So breathing into the back of the leg, noticing your lower back, how this side might feel different than the first side. And then we're going to come into that inner thigh stretch. So now we have the strap in the right hand. And we're just going to let that leg come out to the side, making sure both hips are still on the ground. And remember, we're not trying to come all the way to the ground. It doesn't matter how wide we open the leg. You know, our leg could be higher to the sky or lower. It just depends on what's happening in our bodies today. And then we're going to inhale that leg up. We're going to switch hands with the strap, angle the toes towards the opposite shoulder, and then just a little bit past center as we notice what's happening along the outer edge of this leg. So this isn't a very big distance across center. It's just a little bit until we feel something happening. And we're breathing into whatever it is, whatever's coming up. And we'll come back to center. We're going to bend that knee, set our strap off to the side, and then coming into our figure four. So now the right ankle is over the left thigh. The left foot could be on the ground, or you might choose to lift it. And already you might be noticing a difference between both hips. So one hip might be more open to this position than the other. And this is a variation to pigeon pose. So anytime we do pigeon pose, we're upright over the legs. If that's too challenging to your knees, this is always a great option to come into this position instead. We want to check in, making sure our shoulders are relaxed. So if you're really gripping and holding on, trying to keep the leg up, then setting that foot back, because we don't want to create tension in another part of the body when we're trying to release it in the one we're focusing on. So we'll breathe into this right hip and thigh, breathing in and breathing out. And then we'll set that left foot down if it was lifted. We'll bring the right foot down. We're gonna, again, notice taking that powerful pause to check in. Maybe we feel a little more balanced. Maybe now there might still be a difference, but maybe it's coming closer. And you can either bring your knees to chest, or we could take a little bit of windshield wipers, dropping the knees from one side to the other. So whatever your body needs right here. This is kind of like a flowing variation of a twist. And you could stay right here with this if you'd like, or we can turn this into more of a standard twist or a still twist. And we'll lift both hips up and over to the left side, dropping the knees to the right side. Arms can go wide, or you can place the right hand on top of the left thigh. Turning your head in any direction. You could experiment, see how that might change if you change which direction you're facing with your neck, with your head. Allowing just a nice, easy twist. We'll come back to center, letting the spine neutralize, and then we'll reverse that. We'll do the other side. The knees come to, our hips come to the right side, knees drop to the left. And again, you could be flowing through windshield wipers. And then making our way back to that position with our feet flat on the ground, knees up towards the sky. Staying here or adding in any last little bit of movement or stillness that you'd like before coming into Shavasana. So if there's a pose that you wanted to do or a pose that your body's asking for, some type of movement, honoring that. And then when you're ready, adding in any extra layers of clothing or socks, maybe a blanket. And then you might come to that position we started in, or you could lie on your side or your belly. We connect our bodies back to the earth, allowing your body to absorb all the benefits of your practice today. Feeling that connection between yourself and the ground, and asking yourself what it would be like to have just 1% more ease in your body. And then sinking into that. Make yourself at home. Once you accept yourself unconditionally, you'll be surprised by how comfortable you begin to feel no matter where you are. We may have tricked ourselves into thinking our security came from outside ourselves, that we needed certain other people or places, needed certain objects or items around us, or had to live our lives in a particular way to feel secure. But relying on things and people outside ourselves provides a false sense of security. False security will be shown for what it is. There's a real security, a true safety available to all of us, no matter who we are, where we are, or what we're doing. The security comes from accepting ourselves. That security comes from trusting ourselves, trusting our hearts, our wisdom, our connection to the divine and to the universe around us. Once we accept ourselves unconditionally, no matter where we are, it will feel like home. Bringing some movement back into your body. And gently turning to one side. Lift into an easy, comfortable seat. Inhaling, we'll bring the palms together with the thumbs to the forehead for good thoughts, to the lips for good words, and to the heart for good intention. The divine light within me honors the divine light within you. Namaste. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today.